On a recent episode of America's Got Talent, a duo shocked the judges in a way no one expected. Their performance was creepy, unsettling, and, quite honestly, pretty gross. But despite their shocking and stomach-churning act involving maggots, they somehow made it to the next round. The duo, known for their dark and eerie performances, walked onto the stage with an air of mystery and tension that immediately had the judges on edge. The crowd wasn't sure what to expect, but the anticipation was palpable. As they set up their act, the judges looked on, unsure whether they were about to witness a magic trick, a comedy bit, or something completely different. What happened next sent a wave of unease across the entire room. The performers placed a large, covered box on the table in front of them. As they began their act, they revealed what was inside: maggots. Yes, you heard that right. The duo unveiled a container filled with wriggling maggots, crawling and squirming on the table. The shock factor hit immediately, and the judges' faces were a mixture of confusion, disgust, and disbelief. The tension in the room was thick as the duo continued their act, using the maggots as part of their performance. The audience collectively recoiled at the sight, and it was clear that the judges weren't sure what to make of this unusual act. Simon Cowell, known for his straight-shooting comments, didn't hold back. "This is unsettling," he remarked, as his eyes darted toward the maggots on the table. Howie Mandel, visibly uncomfortable, asked, "Are those real?" as he squinted at the wriggling creatures. Meanwhile, Sofia Vergara tried to keep her composure, but it was clear she was a little freaked out. "This is definitely not what I was expecting," she said, shaking her head. Despite the uncomfortable nature of the act, the duo continued with their routine. They had clearly planned every movement carefully, incorporating the maggots into a strange, eerie storyline. It was one of the most bizarre performances the judges had seen, and it was clear that they weren't entirely sure how to respond. The act wasn't flashy or traditional in any sense. It was dark, creepy, and completely out of the box. As the performance came to an end, there was an awkward silence in the room. The judges exchanged glances, clearly trying to process what they had just witnessed. Howie was the first to break the silence, speaking up with a nervous laugh. "Well, that was definitely a first." Simon Cowell, who usually gives the harshest critiques, surprisingly nodded thoughtfully and said, "You've got to admire the commitment. I've never seen anything like that before." Despite the shock factor and initial discomfort, the judges couldn't deny that the duo had a unique ability to grab attention. Their creativity and willingness to push boundaries earned them some respect, even if the maggots weren't exactly a crowd favorite. The moment of tension came when it was time for the judges to decide. They deliberated for a moment, with Simon Cowell acknowledging that while the act was certainly shocking, it wasn't necessarily bad. "It's different, and I'll give you credit for that," he said. Howie Mandel, still squirming, added, "It was disturbing, but I'll admit, I couldn't take my eyes off of you." In the end, the judges gave the duo the green light to move on to the next round. They were advancing despite the maggot-filled moment that left everyone a little queasy. The duo's performance may not have been the most pleasant, but it certainly made an impression, one that would go down as one of the creepiest and most memorable moments in AGT history. The internet quickly lit up with reactions from fans, many of whom were equally horrified and fascinated by the strange act. Love it or hate it, the maggot duo had successfully made their mark.